Hi everyone, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your immigration related questions. So go ahead and drop your questions in the comments and I will gladly answer them. That's why I'm here. I'm here to prioritize your questions. I usually come with a topic also, and today I'm going to be talking about who qualifies to apply for the green card while being in the United States, even if they've overstayed their visa or even come into the United States without their papers. So that is going to be the topic for today, but keep in mind that the main goal, the main reason I'm here is to answer your immigration questions. So just go ahead, put your questions in, and as soon as your questions come in, I will answer. Also, you can check out the link in my bio to learn more about me, the firm that I work at, and its ST Law Office, what areas I can help. I mainly focus on helping individuals through, I usually help individuals to get their green card or their. So I see here accessories by Jan's boss. I sent a message a week ago. Could you reply? So definitely I can go ahead and look to see, but I can tell you this. I don't usually give legal advice by message. I do when I'm providing legal advice, personalized advice. It's going to be through calling 561-405-4889 and scheduling a consultation. So the message that you're going to get is probably going to be along those lines, that you should call the number and schedule a consultation to get personal legal advice. You could, if you don't feel comfortable enough to put the question here, then that would be the best way to get your answer. Your personalized answer. Okay, so keep putting your questions in, and I will gladly answer your questions. I'm talking about a particular topic today, which is who can qualify for the green card while staying in the United States. Even if you've overstayed or you have even cross the border without your papers. Okay, so accessories by Jan's boss. I just wanted to know if a sibling can file for another sibling. So great question, and I'm glad that you asked that. Yes, so a U.S. citizen sibling, so only U.S. citizen siblings can file for another sibling. But keep in mind that it's not going to be a quick solution for the other sibling, the immigrant sibling, if they're in the United States and they're undocumented. The reason being, it right now at this time, that could change in the future if there's any change to the rules or the laws. But right now, it's taking about a minimum of 14 years to get through that process. And so, while if the sibling is here in the United States and they're undocumented, they're without the papers, that's a possible 14-year period that they will be without any status or any ability to apply for relief. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Also, if they're here, they would have to go through the waiver process to be able to leave the country and complete the green card process in their home country, because they wouldn't qualify to apply for the green card while being in the U.S. because only individuals. So and it's great you asked that, because it's leading right back into the topic that I was going to talk about. Those who only those who either maintain their status, are immediate relatives of U.S. citizens who overstay their visa, or those who, so those are the only two exceptions to the general rule that you must maintain status to be able to apply for the green card in the U.S. Also, if an immigrant has a qualifying relative, like a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident spouse or parent, a parent if they're under 25, and or a son or daughter who is 21 and up, and that relative is mistreating the immigrant, then they can apply for the green card that way and stay in the United States. But other than that, then the options are very limited. Unless you're going to wait. So if you're willing to wait those 14 years in the US, keep your head down, and wait for the ride out the process, then yes, it's still worth pursuing. However, it is a very long time to wait, and definitely not a quick solution. Shy Anna, what background checks are done for persons applying for the J1 visa? So the immigration service, they're going to run an FBI background check. It's going to be based on criminal, and it could be based on the immigration background as well. So Christine, how long would it take for citizen kids to sponsor parents if they're illegal in the US? So it depends on the particular process. So if the parents came in on a visa and then overstayed, the citizen children, by the way, have to be 21 and over to sponsor their parents. But as long as they meet that age requirement, they sponsor their parents. I would say you could be looking at a 9-month process to as long as a 2-year process. It just depends on the the processes at the local field office and how busy they are, how backlogged they are. But I've seen it as short as 9 months. Now, if they came into the country without their papers, they're not going to qualify to get the green card while being in the US. They're going to have to apply for waivers, like asking for pardon or forgiveness, and then go to their home country if it's approved to complete the green card process there. So you could be looking at a 2 to 2.5 year process. Texar 80, should I file for a mother and daughter at the same time? So if both qualify and it works for you, you can do that. You would have to look at, I know some individuals are restricted financially, and so the affidavit of support, for example, may not allow for both. So it just depends. But there's nothing that says you can't apply for more than one relatives. You just have to make sure it works for you. Sydney, U.S. citizen filing for stepkids under age 21 in Jamaica. How long is the process, please, after the NVC? So right now, things are pretty backed up, and it's hard to tell because I don't know how long ago you applied. I don't know when you applied. I don't know what stage of the process you are at. But usually when everything is normal, it's usually about 4 to 8 weeks to get the interview after the NVC finalizes everything and says they're happy with all the documents that you've sent. However, with COVID and lockdowns, and now they're trying to catch up, it could be longer. What you can do is touch base with the National Visa Center and see where your case is, and ask them straight up what to expect. Usually the National Visa Center, you could go to the website and they have their contact information. So Rita Chutney, permanent resident filing for spouse. So let's see if I missed any part of your question. So Amrita Chutney, a permanent resident can file for their spouse, but I don't know what the question is. So if you want to just write the question again, it looks like it cut off the question. Techstar, you're welcome. So I think that's Janisha. Thank you for sharing my live. Techstar, I'm filing for my wife along with her daughter. So I will be doing 2 I-485s and so when it comes down to the forms, I don't get into detail because I don't want, I don't know your situation. I don't know your qualifications, whether how your wife or daughter qualifies. That is where I get more in detail in the personal consultations. But the last thing I want to do is give you incomplete, generalized information that causes you to get into trouble during the process. One thing that I've noticed is that the way that the application is submitted at the beginning really sets the tone for the way the rest of the application process is going to go. And so that is the most important part. And the last thing I want to do is spend 2 seconds or 2 minutes talking about forms when, it might be different for you. So Christine, can someone file for a green card after completing their studying with an M1 visa? So if you qualify, you would be able to do that. You just have to make sure that you qualify either through an employer or through a family member. You can definitely give me a call at 561-405-4889, schedule a consultation. And the same goes for you, Techstar. I can definitely advise and help you with the process. It is definitely worth it to sit down with an attorney and go through the paperwork to make sure you don't miss anything. While I don't review the actual paperwork, I do provide you legal, detailed information, and then I can also represent you through the process, and that can, make for a smoother process as well. So Sidonie, the case is not the NVC. So you're welcome again, Techstar. So Amina, what is a procedure to get a work permit? So with a work permit, you'll need to be applying for a particular immigration benefit, like a green card or some other type of visa that allows you to live and work in the United States, or you have to be going through the asylum process. Sometimes even if you're going through certain deportation proceedings, you're still allowed to get the work permit. But it all depends. So that's an extremely broad question, and I'd have to sit down with you to figure out how you would qualify for the work permit. So Walal 37, how does someone who has European citizenship can live in the USA? So that is not true. They're not allowed to live in the US, but some European individuals from European countries do have are in the visa waiver program, and that allows them to come to the United States for up to 90 days without a visa. And it's a benefit that's given to European countries, partly because they feel like the risk that they overstay or stay here or violate the terms of the temporary visit is lower than other countries, unfortunately. But that is they don't come to live. They definitely have to go through the process like everybody else, but they do get the chance to travel here and stay up to 3 months without a visa. So let's see. Techstar, you're welcome. So Amrita, how long does it take? So in this case with COVID and everything, it's hard to determine how long it's going to take from being at the NVC. What you can do is you can check check with the NVC, make sure they're not missing anything. That's the most important part. And then ask what their current processing time is. So the Jazzery, how often do immigration attorneys go to court? So immigration, it just depends on the immigration attorney's area of the area they focus on. So some immigration attorneys do deportation defense, and then some solely deportation defense. Some limit their deportation defense cases. So it all depends on how they want to structure the firm. Some don't do deportation or court hearings at all. So it all depends on the type of practice that they have. So Jan 477, thanks for sharing the live. Amina, you're welcome. And thank you. You be safe as well. So can I file for nephew? How long will it take? Unfortunately, as a green card holder or a citizen, you wouldn't be able to file for your nephew. But if you're a U.S. citizen and you apply for your sister and your sibling is a child, thanks, I think that's Capture Beauty. Thank you for the gift. And if your sister, you applied for your sister or your brother, and they have children under 21 and unmarried, if the paperwork does come through and they're still under 21 and unmarried, they can come into the country that way. So Walal 37, I believe I answered that question about the European citizens and the fact that they have the visa waiver program, so they have more flexibility to visit. Capture Beauty, thank you so much, and thank you for the gift. Thank you for wishing me a great day. You as well. I wish you all the best. And thanks for sharing the live. Marcia Russell, wow, it takes to do medical and interview. How long it takes to do the medical and interview? All my paperwork is in. So it depends on what kind of paperwork you're talking about. If it's at the NVC, it's hard to tell right now. I don't know what the embassy is that your paperwork will be going to, or whether it's in the United States. So it all depends. But what you can do is you can actually contact them directly, give them your case information, and ask them what is the estimated time that you should be expecting right now. Melly 960, what are the documents to prove domicile in the USA while living abroad temporarily when sponsoring the wife? So great question. So if you continue to file your taxes, if you continue to hold a place of residence, pay the rent, pay your utilities, if you paid certain bills, if you had contracts, your phone, that could be one way to show that you continue to maintain domicile in the US even while you were living temporarily with your wife. Amrita, you're welcome. Jan 477, thanks again for sharing the live. Hi there, Trini. I think that's Trinid. So Trinid JS Watt. Hi there. Brittany, can a stepchild get citizenships? A stepchild, so if you're a U.S. citizen and your stepchild, you got married to your immigrant spouse before the stepchild turned 18, then they could have an eventual path to U.S. citizenship, but first you'd have to apply for their green card. Definitely give me a call, schedule a consultation if this is something you're thinking about doing, and I can definitely personally advise you as well as prepare the application for you. Ginger girl, good. Hi there, good afternoon, it's nice to see you. Carry on. I'm citizen. If I want to file for my 16-year-old nephew, what is the process? So you wouldn't be able to file directly for your 16-year-old nephew, but what you would have to do, you could file for your sibling, and then as long as at the point that the paperwork comes in, the sibling will be on, as long as they're still under 21 and unmarried, then they would go along with them. The catchy part is that this process of filing for siblings is taking about 14 years. Who knows? That might change. But what would happen is your nephew would not be under 21 and unmarried, or maybe unmarried, but definitely not under 21. And so you are really within a rock and a hard place. So the Jazzery, what law school did you attend? So I went to the University of Minnesota Law School, and then I also went to University of Florida for my master's in taxation. So I practice mainly in the area of immigration law, and I also do tax planning for immigrants. So I deal with immigrant tax issues as well. So keep those questions coming. These are all great questions. You're welcome, Carrie Hun. Brown Skin Queen, I love the name. Thanks for sharing the live. Will taxes, a bank account, even a recent renewal of driver's license be sufficient? So it's hard for me to tell you what exactly will be sufficient. That would be me giving you personal legal advice when I don't know your circumstances. Those would definitely be helpful, but I would not be able to confirm like whether it would be sufficient. As much evidence as you can gather, you should do that. But what I would advise you to do is don't go do this alone. If you're seeking a re-entry permit, or if you need this for other purposes to get back into the country since you've been outside for so long, you definitely want to get legal advice and assistance through the process. So Great Giant, why is work permit taking time after you have applied? Because of the backlog, because of COVID. So unfortunately, things are taking longer than we would like. So Lennox78, thanks for sharing the live. I appreciate that. Marcia Russell, you're welcome. Melly960, you're welcome. Kerry Hunt, thanks for sharing the live. Tasha Spice, my BF is 36, overstayed his papers. His father is a U.S. citizen. Can he file for him? So his father can file for him if he is unmarried, which I'm assuming he is. The process is taking about 5 years, but what would have to happen is he would have to apply for a waiver, because if he has overstayed for over 6 months, then if he leaves the country, he'll be barred for 3 years. If he's overstayed for over a year, he'll be barred for 10 years. That means inadmissible, can't get any green card or visa to come back to the U.S. for that period of time. And so he would have to apply, and the thing about it is he can't qualify to apply for the green card while being in the U.S. So what happens is he would have to apply for forgiveness, and then he would have to use, if it's approved, he could go to his home country and complete the green card process there. It's a little more complicated, and that waiver would be based on his U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parents' extreme hardship. So Ginger Girl 49, if someone files for their niece, how long before they get a visa? So usually someone can't file for someone else's visa, and they definitely would not be able to file for the niece's green card. So with a visitor's visa, you can get it in a shorter time as long as the embassy has as long as they're not backlogged, which a lot of embassies right now are still closed or backlogged, and it's taking a little time. So call the particular embassy in your home country that will be issuing the visa or the green card. So, oh, that's cute. Thank you. Ginger Girl, let's see. If someone filed for their niece, okay, I answered that. Trini, if you overstayed visa and got married, how do you file for the green card and work permit? You'll have to do it through an employer or through a family member. Mainly to get the work permit, it would have to be a situation where you have a U.S. citizen spouse, or if in the case that the U.S. citizen or green card holder spouse or even a parent mistreated you here, you could apply for the green card based on mistreatment and then request a work permit as well. So Jan 477, how long does green card process take if I file now? It depends on how you're filing. It depends if you're filing through an employer or through a family member. It can range from, if you're doing it as an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, that's the spouse, the parent, or the son or daughter who's 21 and under, then you're looking at about 9 months to 2 years. Otherwise, it can take much longer. Frenchman 11, I want to get my visa. How I can get it, because I get let down 2 times in Jamaica. So it may be because you are not, I don't know what your background is. And so in order to determine what's going wrong, definitely I would have to do a consultation with you. But the most common reason that one is denied is because they're not showing strong ties to their home country. And this can be for individuals who they're young, they don't have much property, they don't have a job that will tie them down, or commitments like children that can tie them down. And so it can be hard to prove this. But to show that you have a steady job, that you have a bank account, that you have a business, that you have children and a spouse to take care of, that you have property like houses or other types of property that keeps you committed, those are the kinds of things that the immigration officer likes to see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How long does ICE take to deport people in India when final removal date was February 8th? So that's going to depend on the removal order and what's going on. That is getting into a little more complex territory. Just if you would really like to figure out the options there, give me a call at 561-405-4889. Carrie Hun, thanks for sharing the live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hi, ma'am. If ICE release person who's under supervision, can the person work? You'll have to get a work permit. Otherwise, you cannot legally work into the United States without the work permit. So is the consultation done via Zoom call or call? Great question. So I accept clients from all 50 states as well as the world, because there are people who are outside of the United States that I work with to help come into the country. So if you're not around the corner from me in Boca Raton, Florida, or Fort Lauderdale, I do phone and Zoom consultations as well. And I do go-to meetings as well. So I'm very flexible. And once I become your attorney, I easily work with my clients all across the country. So great, Giant. You're welcome. Melly 960, husband lives in the same country as me temporarily until my interview. So wanted to know domicile docs. Okay. Jan 47794. So my husband. I don't remember what the question was, Jan. How long does a green card? Okay, so if it's a green card holder spouse, you could be looking at around 2 years. If it is a U.S. citizen spouse, could range from 9 months to 2 years. One thing I do caution, make sure you get the application right the first time, because if not, that's where I see a lot of the problems, where I see a lot of the delays happen. Mark, are you an immigration consultant? I'm much better than that. I am an U.S. immigration attorney, so not a consultant. I actually represent clients and properly advise them and provide them legal advice. So definitely immigration consultants, sometimes that can be problematic, because I've seen cases where individuals work with the consultants, they give them wrong information, or the case is much more complicated and the consultant does not know that it's going to be complicated, or they know but they still let them go through with the process. That is something that I don't do as an attorney, because I'm obligated to advise and represent my clients, provide them good, solid legal advice. So you can check out the link in my bio to learn more about me, what I do, what my areas of focus. I'm licensed in both Minnesota and Florida, but I can practice all across the country as an immigration attorney, and I accept clients in all 50 states and the world. So if you would like to schedule a consultation with me, give me a call and schedule a consultation. The scheduling coordinator will get you on my schedule. All right, let's see. Just said Bell. Hello, ma'am. My husband is filing for me. The question is, can my 16-year-old... So if your husband is a U.S. citizen and obviously you got married before your daughter turned 18, then yes, and he would have to file for her separately. Now, if your husband is a green card holder and once again, your daughter would be able to go on the same application. So, but it all depends on how you're going about it, where you are, what status your husband has. So the 00D nurse, how long does a work permit normally take if you marry a U.S. citizen? About 6 to 8 months right now. So user 2531, my mom is a permanent resident in New York. She sponsored me. I overstay my visa. Do I have to go back to my country? So in this case, yes, but before you leave, this is where I definitely advise you get legal advice. Schedule a consultation, give me a call. It's very important you do that because you may likely require what's called a waiver, an unlawful presence waiver before you leave the country. Because if you leave the country without that waiver, then you will be barred you'll get denied at the embassy and you'll be barred from returning. If the waiver is approved, then it would allow you to go to the embassy, do the interview, and the officer would approve you and not deny you on the unlawful presence. So very important to schedule a consultation and make sure you get it right. Now, the waiver is not just a fill in the blanks form. It's very complex, takes legal know-how and strategy, planning, and time. So make sure you get legal advice. Now you and anybody else who is listening who you definitely need help, or if you didn't know you need help, you now know that you should get legal advice at least through a consultation. Give me a call at 561-405-4889 and schedule with the scheduling coordinator. Jan 47794, thank you. Let's see. Melly 960, will I need to go to the interview with my husband? So Melly 960, if it's a marriage-based green card, you're doing it at the embassy, it's not required. It can be helpful to have your husband there. Or if you're sponsoring your husband, then it would be helpful for your husband to have you there. But definitely, if you're in the United States, they're gonna want to see the both of you. Frenchman 11, if I don't have any kid, how that I'm going to work? I have full-time job. I live with my family. Well, in this case, Frenchman 11. I would have to speak with you about the details, because it all depends on how it's going to work, depends on what's going on in your particular situation. So if you have an administrative closure, can you apply for a work permit? So it depends on the reason for the administrative closure, but if the case is closed, that's indicating to me that the application is no longer active, and so the work permit may not be valid either. But I'm not sure what your situation is, and that's why you would need to definitely schedule a consultation. What's the reason for someone to get sent back at the airport was in a visitor's visa? So sometimes if the officer feels like you, the most frequent things I've seen is misrepresentation, where the officer sense that the immigrant was not being truthful, or if the officer suspects they're coming to work, or if the officer saw past immigration violation. Those could be some of the reasons. Josette Bell, thanks for following. If you have, I believe I answered. If I marry my BF who overstayed as a U.S. citizen, does he have to go back to Jamaica? No, Tasha Spice. If he overstayed his visa and he has no disqualifying issues going on, you're a U.S. citizen, then he would qualify to adjust status in the United States. But definitely get legal advice, at least to start, and representation through the process is the best. You can give me a call at 561-405-4889. Usually when you start out on a good footing, it sets the tone for the rest of the process. So make sure you start right with a consultation to know what to expect, what you're in for, to make sure there are no disqualifying issues for your boyfriend. Indeed, how long do I have to wait to remarry after a failed marriage of which I started my application? So, there are no limits on when you can remarry, but it depends on the circumstances involved. It depends on whether the application was denied. And I would really want to know what happened in that marriage, because if you were mistreated by that, say, U.S. citizen or green card holder spouse, there may be a way for you to apply for the green card on your own and still move forward with the process. Now, if you're divorced, you have to be divorced for less than 2 years, and there has to be mistreatment to qualify for this. You can give my office a call and we can screen you for that, see if you qualify. And we can also advise on the best way to approach remarrying someone after a failed marriage, because it all depends on whether you submitted an application already and so forth. Thanks for following. So Josette Bell, okay, so your husband is a U.S. citizen. I don't remember the question. All right, so thanks so much for tuning in. I'm usually here every day, so I hope to see you again. If I didn't get to your questions, just follow me, and then as soon as you see me go live, hop on and ask your question. So Frenchman 11, the best way to talk to me is to schedule a consultation, a personal consultation. So you can do that by calling the number at 561-405-4889. And then we can do that. So those of you who didn't get to ask your question, or you didn't want to ask your questions here, Indy, I'm so happy that you said that. Thank you. That really makes my day to know that you're happy you found me, because that's the reason I'm here. So Josette Bell, my next question is, what are the files I should be filing for my 16-year-old daughter? So with that, I wouldn't be doing you any justice by listing out any forms or anything here, because I don't want you to make mistakes. I want to make sure that you qualify. And so the best way to get into what you need to file is to schedule a consultation with me, and then we can talk more. All right, have a good one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.